Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm joined by Sandra Lee. Sandra Lee is the author of Dear Donald, Letters from a Loving Deplorable. Sandra, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. You asked me that a minute ago and I was groaning. I am well. I am grateful to be well, but I am very sad and frustrated and impatient and concerned about what's going on all over the world and disappointed, a little bit heartbroken. So
Yes,
how's
indeed. I
that for
mean,
how am I?
I think that about describes all of us. These are very, very strange and hard times. It's very scary, and this disease is not something anybody wants to get. That's for sure.
That's
This is
for
a
sure.
very, very dangerous disease. And in fact, the more I'm learning about it, the more dangerous information is coming out, showing how dangerous it is. It can damage your lungs. It could damage your heart. I mean, it's not something to mess around with. And I think that we can all agree that however it happened, and there's a lot of questions about that, we have to avoid contact with people right now and try to stay safe.
I agree. However, I'm a proponent of getting the economy started again sooner rather
Oh,
than.
absolutely.
I think we need
They
to.
have to, or else we're going to go into a depression unlike anything anyone's seen. I just heard that, for example, the university system is talking about going online in the fall. I mean, if they do that, then that's gonna shake the whole foundation of that entire rotten university system. Because why go? Sort of like people are going to start to look at spending. You're going to spend like up to $60,000 to go to Harvard. I mean, it's like Harvard is
try 90.
right. I mean, and
$90,000.
the whole thing about Harvard or any of these places is to go to the campus, to experience the classroom, to meet these great august professors. I mean, they can't compete online. I mean, if they go online, they're going to have to compete with University of Phoenix, which has been doing it very well for years. And I think that it's going to be that whole system could implode if they don't get somehow up and running in time for the opening of the school in the fall.
Well, I think things are going to change. I think they should change. I think college is way too expensive. It's become untouchable in the average American family. People's entire economic fortunes are being
Oh, I know.
destroyed by trying to send their kids to college. You want to send 3 kids to college or 2 children to college today? It's your life savings.
Oh,
Or
I
they
know. Look,
won't
I
spend the
mean, I'm
rest of
sending
their
one
life
to college,
saving.
and I can speak to that. Sandra, but you say that you want to get the economy back and running, and I think that we all do, and especially though, I mean, other than maybe people who just hate Trump so much, they're willing to see everything collapse just to stop him. Putting them aside, we all want to see it get up and running. What do you see? How do you see that happening? What do you think the process will be by which we can begin to get back to work and get back outside, but yet at the same time be relatively safe, or to the maximum degree safe from the virus?
I think this coronavirus has given us a wake up call. And I think all of us can learn to be more hygienically aware. I think I've washed my hands 20 times a day. That's
Yep.
an understatement. It may be even more than that since this has started. Everybody I know, all my friends are cleaning their houses. Well, we're home, we're stuck home.
Right.
And so we're cleaning and cleaning. I think, look at you and I are having this wonderful conversation on Skype. The whole rest of the world is learning that there's a lot you can do with the new video availability that we have. Look at every top announcer, every top program director, every top station. They're televising their programs via Skype. All their
Right.
guests are on Skype. So the world is going to change. There's no question about it. A lot of my friends who can sew, I can't do anything. I'm terrible that way. I don't cook, I don't sew, I don't clean. I write. I like to write. I'm a busy writer. But they're making masks, we're all cleaning our house emphatically. We can certainly learn to social distance. We can certainly learn better hygiene. We all need to learn better nutrition. This country and the entire world needs to be more conscious of good nutrition.
Oh, I think that you make such good points. And, there's so many good things that could come out of this in terms of, individual and family sovereignty, taking care of ourselves and our immediate family, being prepared for any eventuality. I mean, I remember my late grandmother back in the old days in the 60s. She always kept like a cabinet filled with tuna fish and peanut butter in case the Ruskies invaded, So,
Ruskies.
yeah, right. I mean, and I always admired that. I mean, there's a sense of like controlling your own life and destiny. And I think we could all learn from that. The issue of hygiene is important. We all took that for granted. Make sure that your hands are clean. I actually think that there might be certain social customs that may change for the better, in my opinion, like handshakes, which probably are not such a great idea. Social distancing. I like social.
Who bow, there are many cultures.
That's right.
I think that's lovely. Curtsying. Perhaps those things came into social circles because they were necessary. In earlier times when plagues were quite frequent, they invented social norms that kept you a little more distant from people. So you would curtsy or you would bow. Now we're, this too touchy-feely thing is maybe.
No, is everyone like they're patting and hugging? I've never liked to be touched anyway. So to me, I actually like that idea. I think that we should retain our space. I mean, animals understand this. Don't go too close to a dog, for example, and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's part of like an instinctive understanding of property. You control your space. It's a good, positive thing to do anyways. And I think that there could be positive developments in that regard. Excuse me.
You know what I'm concerned about, though? Of course, the disease is a terrible thing. And I want everyone to do the very best that they can to make sure this doesn't happen again. But what concerns me is that it's somehow a plot, that it's somehow something evil in the culture that I just can't control. Right. I'm very frightened by it and worried by that. I am a Trump supporter. My book, Dear Donald, Letter from a Loving Deplorable, is very pro-Donald Trump. It's a personal story of my life, but I interweave it with a letter constantly. Every day I'm writing to Donald Trump about how I feel about the world. And one of the things I'm concerned about is that they're trying to undermine his enormously successful presidency.
Oh, absolutely. Regardless of how this happened, whether it was a lab-created Chinese thing or what, I mean, we've been hearing a lot about that, and it very well may be. But putting it aside, the fact that they're using this as a way to criticize Trump, and the main thrust of their argument is, well, he didn't do enough because he didn't talk to enough people, and that there were people who were warning about this in the administration. And that's true back in January. However, I don't think anybody saw this coming the way it came. I mean, Nancy Pelosi finally decided on Monday to shut down Congress and to allow people to telecommute. And, she didn't do, I mean, nobody, I think it was in late January that Trump had a meeting in the White House and invited senators and congressmen to come to talk about the potential pandemic. And nobody showed up because they were too busy with impeachment.
Well,
so we can take a look at this. I remember also back in January when the story first came out about Wuhan, he shut down, he did like a temporary, shutdown of anyone coming in from China. And he started to have the CDC check people's temperatures at the airports. And there were howls of rage from the left. Oh, he's doing this because he's got something against Chinese people. He's prejudiced. And then you had people like Nancy Pelosi and AOC and the rest of them go into Chinatown on Chinese New Year's and say, come on down, come on in, go out to restaurants, go out to bars. We're not afraid of this. This is all just this crazy president and his plots. So, if we want to point fingers of blame, let's do it honestly. But let's also, I think at a time like this, let's not exploit this crisis and try to do that kind of second guessing. This government is doing everything it can, given limited resources. They opened up the stockpile and they found out that it had been depleted during the Obama years, and they never replenished it. So, we could talk about that. But the point is, given what we have, I think they're doing everything possible. And I think that we're going to turn the corner on it pretty soon, if not, if we haven't already. What do you think?
I think, ironically, if this was a plot against Trump, it backfired, because what it did was it made him look even more capable, even more courageous, even more internationally in control. He's really presented himself brilliantly. He's been calm, cool, collected, presidential, and don't cross this man. He has stood up to the press in a way that I frankly admire. He's put his foot down and does not let them manipulate or undermine his message. I think he's done a fabulous job. He has a 60% approval rating, and I think you cannot underestimate the intelligence of the American people. They see what a good job he's doing, and they see how he's being undermined, and they don't like it. He's winning the approval of many groups that he did not have the approval of before. Now, I represent the women who they say are not for Trump. You know, the suburban, educated woman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a suburban, educated woman. You know, I listened today to a doctor from Nassau County. I lived in Nassau County on Long Island for a very, very long time. And they're doing extremely well in Nassau County. Even though we're at a peak with this disease, it has turned a corner and we're doing extremely well. And Trump has handled this brilliantly. Now, I also hear people talking about Cuomo doing a write-in for Cuomo and running him for president. And
Right.
I'm watching Cuomo, boy, I'm watching him like a hawk. You know what? Those warm and fuzzy stories about his kids and his brother and his family, they're cute for about 5 minutes. After a while, you don't want to listen to them anymore. He doesn't have a presence, which I enjoy watching for more than 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, I'm not enjoying it for 1 minute, but I am watching as much of it as I can in order to be informed. But when Donald Trump is on, he has this 5 o'clock every day. He's on for an hour and a half.
Yep.
Do you know what those ratings are? I mean,
Yeah, through the roof.
you are glued to every word that man says.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, Dr. Fauci comes on, I don't want to hear it anymore. But if Donald Trump is going to talk, I want to hear every word out of his mouth. He's been gifted by God with a charismatic way about him, which is very down to earth and very powerful. For some reason, you can't take your eyes off the screen. Now,
no, I know. He's very good. He knows what he's doing.
Is those who don't like him can't stand him. So that concerns me. I know there's an opposite group, but they're dwindling. They're diminishing. And the group that loves him is increasing. I'm not worried about Cuomo being a threat to him, but I am worried that the Democrats are going to keep trying to come up with some other way.
Oh, yeah, they're going to try to do. They already want to try to cook up some new articles of impeachment. But, you know, President Trump also has been very publicly discussing this particular drug, hydrochloroquine. And he's doing it because a group of doctors from New York actually met with him at the White House and told him that this is a very effective drug and that he should come out and try to promote this nationally, and that it's being used very successfully in France and in other countries. And he just was asked by Cuomo, actually, to ship over, I think it was about 600,000 doses of this drug, which Cuomo is then going to put into all of the New York hospitals. That's already happened. I think that happened on Monday. Yes. And it's already being used. And I think that from what I understand, and I'm not a doctor, but from what I understand from the testimony of other doctors, both in this country and around the world, that it's very effective and that we probably are going to find out within a week, maybe, how effective that is in New York. And if it is as effective as I think it will be, then that's going to be a real game changer. And then we're going to have a means to treat people in the hospital. But I think it's interesting how the left went howls of rage, completely berserk, simply because President Trump endorsed this drug. oh my God, this is a conspiracy theory. He's crazy. This is, and then they talk about the side effects of the drug. Every drug has side effects. It has to be done with medical supervision, of course. But I mean, he's so negative.
The
And I
drug
think
has
that it's very
very,
telling.
the drug has very, very few side effects. It's really an excellent drug. It's a real solution to this problem. Too bad they didn't use it sooner, and too bad people didn't take it sooner. You want to take it proactively. You don't want to wait till you're deathly ill to take this
Right.
drug. So, now it's available in hospitals on
Hmm.
Long Island and in New York. And it just recently is becoming available in pharmacies. So
Right.
that your family doctor can prescribe this for you a little sooner. And now the tests are becoming much quicker and much easier.
Exactly.
So you can
Yep.
find out in 5 minutes where you're at with this, and then be a little more proactive in taking proper medication a little sooner. And then I think all of us have a lot to learn about being healthier, myself included.
Hmm.
I don't know if we can handle reversing. For many, many years, it became socially unpopular to fat shame people. You should not make people feel guilty if they're overweight. And I think we've gone too far with that social trend, because the truth of the matter is that we are what we eat, and all of us are hooked on sugar or
Right.
alcohol or flour or white flour. These are the things that are making us sick. We need healthier food, cleaner food. And of
I
course,
agree.
these wet markets, dear God in
Oh
heaven,
my God, that's crazy.
why is that not being stopped?
And apparently they're starting it up again. But yes, I mean, I think that the one thing that we've learned from this is personal health. In my case, I mean, I've developed, I mean, over the past year or so, a regimen of supplements and things like that address different health issues I've had. And the whole principle being to improve your immunity, to reduce inflammation. Inflammation is the cause of just about everything:
So many
cancer, heart
healthy.
disease. How to keep, there are various natural substances. I don't want to get into that here, but I'm simply pointing out that these are things that all of us should learn about, and that the information is available, and you develop a personal regimen of supplements, and also cut back on the other things we shouldn't be eating, and improve your immune system, because people with a weak immune systems are the ones who are getting sick from this virus, whether they be, elderly, or they have a compromised immune system because of a pre-existing condition. So regardless of your condition, you need to improve your immune system. And we should be doing that across the board. It should be a matter of public education, which it's not. Our doctors are not properly taught this. I just had a doctor on the show who told me that he never was learned this in medical school. He had to learn it on his own and develop his own thing. This is another possible positive change from this. How not how we can, medicine is supposed to be a means to deal with the symptoms of a disease. How do we deal with a system, our own personal system, by which we can avoid the disease in the first place?
I will say one thing that this pandemic has given us as a gift. It stopped the world. It stopped
Mm,
the world. And for a few moments, we could think. It stopped the world. We've been moving
right.
so fast that we haven't had time to think clearly. I think it made many of us a little more appreciative of our families.
Oh, yes. I mean, definitely a positive thing. Now you have all the children staying home from school. Parents are starting to homeschool. I mean, my friend, the late great Dr. Samuel L. Blumenfeld, who was the author of Alphaphonics, and he was one of the chief pioneers of the modern homeschooling movement. I only wish he was here now. He would have been having a heyday with this. People are realizing from all walks of life that they don't need these big, rotten government-run schools. They can teach their children at home, and they can do it, and maybe get some help. And there are online, things that can help with that. But that, we're going to have a less of a reliance on these big government schools. I think that's a positive thing. And plus, the other thing you said, and in this case, my wife is doing this: telecommuting your job. there's going to be less people now who want to go back to those big offices with those enormous, punch clocks. There's going to be more time spent at home working because you can do it. We have the technology now. So I think these are all good things. These are all, in a sense, a return to a quieter time, like the pre-industrial time, like America during the agricultural days when you'd have the small farm and the small business and very local, developments. I mean, it's a movement of localism. These are all good things.
They are good things. I think they'll make us more spiritually aware and more psychologically in tune to the value of family connection, which I think we've lost. I think we've lost it. Everybody is so busy, even the children. Oh my goodness, they're so overscheduled, taking 5 different lessons. They have to go to karate, they have to go to tennis, they have to go to playgroups. They don't have to do all of that. They need to stay home a little bit and develop stronger family connections. That's really the
Yeah,
strength
absolutely.
of a family
So,
unit is indescribable.
oh, absolutely. So, Sandra Lee, talk a little bit again about your book and, where people can get it and where people can get more information about you and your work. Because you're an author and you're there writing. I think you write this book daily, right?
I do. I write a little bit every day. I'm about to publish the second Dear Donald. It's called Dear Donald, Letters from a Loving Deplorable, 4 more years. And I really am rooting for him to
Excellent.
get at least 4 more years.
Oh
I'd
my
like
God.
to
Thank
see him
God
have
for
8
Fred.
more years. Listen, if the mayor of New York was able to get an additional term, why can't we have a president with 3 terms? I know
Well,
that's
I
but I
thank
like
God
that
for,
man. I like what he's doing.
no, I thank God for Trump, but I don't think he wants to do 3 terms. I
Oh
think that
God, no.
I'm grateful that he wants to do any terms. And I think in particularly the other thing, we should be all grateful and we should thank God that Trump is president right now, because if there had been like a liberal Democrat in the White House, we'd probably have martial law. We would have had nationalization of industry. We'd have concentration camps. We would have had like this international, that's what they're clamoring for in so many words. So Trump has been very careful to take emergency measures, but at the same time do so sparingly and to balance that with the rights of the states, the rights of the people. Those things are very good things. I'm grateful for that.
And I think this whole dilemma has put some light on the China problem.
Oh, yes,
I
absolutely.
think the whole world is waking up to the danger of this Chinese domination. And we want to befriend China. We want to work with China, but we do not want them to manipulate the way they have been manipulating. And I think one of the messages that Trump is consistent about is he is not looking to be the enemy of North Korea or the enemy of Iran or the enemy of China. He is trying to change the mentality of the entire planet to one in which we are working together and we're all strong so that all boats are rising. It's not about I'm going to be better than you. I'm going to be the best I can be. And I want you to be the best you can be. I'll do everything I can to support you. Please do everything you can to support me. But we have to stop sabotaging one another.
Absolutely.
So hopefully it's a new world.
Yeah, well, let's hope that we can learn lessons going forward. I think every crisis we learn lessons, and many of them are good and positive lessons. But we need people like yourself, Sandra, to articulate that, let people, put it into the proper context. That's what our writers and our thinkers do. So I really thank you for what you're doing, and I thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, have a great afternoon and be safe.
You too.